Hello everybody, Jose Rodriguez here. I have a bunch of quickies here to go over. These are subjects that everybody just keeps on asking about. A lot of people were really worried that when I stated that the P800 from Epson, destined for the United States and Canada, could not use refillable carts, as these carts were not auto resetting and you are locked at that point. Your only option is once every one of those carts, one at a time, goes empty, you have to remove them and you have to replace them with OEM cartridges. That's all you can do. So we are in that same boat. Now, people were worried, what about the R3000? What about the P600? What about the P400? Don't worry. Those are not included in this fiasco that we are experiencing here. And I thought that if you were overseas in another country, that you would not be plagued by this problem. But apparently that's not the case any longer. A friend of mine from Germany, who is a seller of printer and supplies and things like that, sold some refillable carts to 8 customers, and 2 of those customers have not been able to reset their carts. So, what's the possibility? Well, the firmware may have been updated. And that tells me that if that is indeed the case, Epson is finally beginning to target those other printers. If you are able to reset your cartridges, third-party cartridges that is, and you live overseas, do not ever update your firmware. Stay with it. You are lucky. So do not update. I'll leave you with that. A Canon Pro 1 user has a set of PGI-29 empty carts that he put away for about a year, and he was wondering if he can go ahead and refill them with a third-party ink source, or does he have to flush them? Well, the second you pull out a cart from the ink compartment on a Pro 1, the poppet valve closes up. And remember this is a hermetically sealed bag now. And whatever remnants of ink, maybe it was a few ml of ink that was left in there, is still fine. It's still liquid. It has not dried out. There's no way it can dry out because it's never exposed to the environment. So just fill it with ink. You'll be fine. I can't afford to calibrate my monitor. I just cannot afford the cost of these calibrators. Well, the Color Monkey Smile is here now, and it's under $100. In fact, it might be closer to $80. So now you have an affordable source of a good calibrator to make sure that monitor is set to the correct parameters for color reproduction, linearity of color from the darkest to the brightest, and also allow you to properly set the luminance of your monitor so that you do not have an overly bright monitor, which would then cause you to adjust your images to the point where now the printer sees them as dark because they are dark, and they will print dark. And that's the biggest, most common problem with beginning printers. My prints are too dark. So that is a good reason now to have a way to calibrate your monitor. Now, if you want something a little bit more sophisticated than the Color Monkey display, it's about 130. But if you want to create custom profiles for your papers, say you switch over to third-party inks, you're going to need some profiling. You cannot assume that regardless of what the provider of the ink says, that they are OEM matched. No, they are not. Nothing is OEM matched. So you're going to have some sort of profiling equipment to create custom profiles when you switch over to third-party ink, and then you start also messing around with other sources of paper rather than the printer brand's own papers. So keep that in mind. Someone wanted to know if they could fool the CLI 42 from the Canon Pro 1 chip by just keeping it topped off. That way the optical prism never sees air and it will never declare the card as low. Well, that may work once. The chip will know. And so the chip is keeping track of everything. And at that point, it'll just go from whatever level it was at to low or even empty. So no, you cannot fool the cartridge. So my advice, as I always say, and I've said this until I'm dry in the mouth, somehow get yourself 2 full sets of carts. One is in the printer full of ink, reset, ready to go. You print, 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 and one cart goes low, remove that whole set, replace it by your standby set. That one's also reset and filled. And now you will generate 1 purge cycle. The cart set that you removed will have 1 cart low and the other 7 carts at various levels. You reset all 8 of them and you top them off. The best thing to have is these little bottles with the needles on them. Remove the plug, top them off, plug them. Put them aside. Don't worry about the vent. Don't have to tape up the vent. Just keep them upright somewhere. Of course, you're going to need little clips for your exit port. So that set will sit around waiting for the first low cart to occur in that second set that you installed a month or 2 months ago. Every 2 or 3 months, you will be generating 1 purge cycle because you will be changing a complete set. If you get into the habit of doing 1 single cart at a time, you will be changing carts all the time. And every time you change 1 cart, you purge the other 7 carts as well as the one you just installed. What a waste of ink. We do not want to do that. We do not want to do that. We want to minimize the amount of ink waste that we generate because we have internal waste ink pads on those printers. They are pretty large and they last a long time. But why do you want to hasten the saturation of these pads by purposely using practices that generate a lot of waste ink? Ink should be used for printing, not for waste. So I will leave you with that little note. All right. Thank you once again. As always, please subscribe, share, and like. Tell the whole world about this site so that we can get everybody here as a gigantic group of home printing enthusiasts, and we can share all of our knowledge with the rest of us. All right. Until the next time, everyone, happy printing. Bye-bye.